is just fantastic.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about another Hassan Piker orbiter, in the form of Frogan. I have, over the past year, made 4 videos total on Frogan, so I'm not obsessed, don't try me. 1 on Omegon 2 and 3 on the main channel. 2 going back as far as 7 months, 1 from 2 weeks ago. Frogan is a terrible person. Well and truly a terrible person. They don't know how to do the less than humble approach. Everything is far too extreme for the 2-time rising star of Twitch. And today, we're going to be taking a look at some of that, more recent that is. For this we have to talk about Tectone, and we have to talk about AB. We'll start with Tectone. Now recently, Tectone had been banned from Twitch, or suspended for 2 weeks. And Tectone had put out a statement discussing this on Twitter by saying, "I got banned for 2 weeks for simply calling Frogan a fat piece of poop. I'm not sorry to be honest, and I stand by what I said. However, going forward I'll do my best not to bring her up again, as me bringing her up only brings her into relevancy, and I'd rather let her punishment be her own failure at being a streamer." 2-time Rising Star Awards winning streamer, by the way, def not an industry plant. Anyways, I'm going to stream on YouTube. Many people have preferred, or are starting to prefer, streaming on YouTube at the moment. That, Kick, Rumble, because there's more money to be made. They have a point at the moment, with the nature of Twitch anyway. Now, Tectone did, when Tectone came back to Twitch, put out a couple statements. And I want to go through a few of those little clips, because 1 or 2 of them baffle me. For example, and I'll state this as a foreshadowing, Frogan got banned for 1 day, or suspended for 1 day, which is the correct term by the way, after wishing ill on military. Okay, we'll get to it soon, just wanted to insert it before we got to it.
So I was banned for 2 weeks. And why did I get banned? Because I called Frogan a fat piece of shit. And to be fair, did I deserve the ban? Absolutely. 100%. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? I was absolutely berating the f*** out of her. But here's the f***ing problem. Here's the f***ing problem, right? I get banned for 2 weeks. I think that's a little bit much. I think it's a little bit much for calling someone fat. Someone who said they weren't bothered by that comment literally 1 week ago. So I guess I should have been a mind reader. Because in the TOS says, when someone repeatedly says that they're bothered by something and then you keep saying it, then you'll get banned.
As is well known when it comes to Twitch and their enforcement of their terms of service, it is very much based on who you know to get yourself out of trouble, and what message you push. Dan Clancy might like to say that he is unbiased, but he has a clear and obvious bias, and so do many of the Twitch staff members. Twitch is a very, very left-leaning platform. It is why if you try and present anything or say anything that goes against the grain or shines a negative light on those rising stars, you're going to get into trouble. I stream on Twitch, I only play video games. Sometimes I get dragged into a conversation that can get a bit on the dark side. I usually find a way to get back on track by instead talking about my day, because it is a safer option and I don't risk losing a source of income, although I have been considering dual streaming onto the stream channel here on YouTube. I'm considering it, yeah. We'll see.
But in the TOS, it literally says they have to state that they're bothered by it. And Frogan has gone on record saying she was not bothered by it.
Streamer XQC, who has recently been showing QR codes to beg audience, even though they're a multimillionaire, to rent a bike for them. Yeah, I saw that. Recently had said on Twitter that they believed that Frogan would have been the reason for the report happening. By replying to Asmon Gold, who had said, "I think people would respect a decision like this by Twitch if it was applied universally. If applied fairly, the TOS of Twitch is quite reasonable and well-intentioned. The problem is when you have asymmetrical enforcement and double standards. XQC, believe it or not, it's my understanding that this is only enforced when a streamer manually reports someone that attacked them. So there is a belief that Frogan did the reporting. I don't know if you can show report history on Twitch. You can on YouTube, and a number of us have squeaky clean records because of it. I don't think Frogan would have that, on Twitch anyway. And Twitch having a double standard in this is not a surprise for anyone at all. I did not support Tectone's 2-week ban. I also don't support what they had to do that will then harken back to my earlier comment about the military.
She said, "Oh, it's such a boring insult. Get something new. It doesn't bother me." She said that. So first of all, why the f did I get banned for that? Secondly, here's how I got unbanned. I had a survey to take. a survey to take if I was a good boy or not. It's a new thing that Twitch was rolling out, which I thought was honestly a pretty good idea.
Yeah, they stole the idea from YouTube. I'm not surprised.
But on that survey, you had to answer a couple questions. So I did. And that's how I learned that harassing another streamer is when there's behavior that they warn you about that you keep doing even though they say that it bothers them. Frogan has gone on record once again saying she was not bothered by being called fat. That is a clip. And hopefully if this circulates over to any of these people who like actually put in the effort of scavenging for clips.
It's strange to me that calling someone fat was enough to get the ban. That is such a weak thing. It really is. I've heard vastly more horrendous things said by Frogan, and yes, we can weigh the merit of either as an insult, and we can agree that what Frogan has said in the time they've been on Twitch is vastly more insulting and, well, obnoxious, rude, breaching of TOS more importantly though. So I'll again say that earlier I mentioned the military, because I wanted to play the entire clip I had to hand first. Let's get to why that ties in with another clip from Tectone in this same stream, talking about the questionnaire they had to take.
So here's what's crazy. I get banned when, to be honest, I actually didn't break TOS. But here's what's crazy. Do you guys know what question number 4 is on the survey? Do you guys know what they quiz you on for question number 4 on the survey? I bet you'll never guess. I bet you'll never guess. Well, why don't I show you?
I'm not gonna lie, question number 4 amuses me and is ironically one of the funniest things in the context of Frogan I have ever seen. I have to insert this, by the way, because it's a minute-long clip, and fair use tells me I can only do 30 seconds at a time. Sorry, but I wanted you to know this is funny, and know the chat didn't get it before he showed it.
Question number 4. A streamer is talking about a physical injury they experienced in the military. Someone in chat tells the streamer that they deserve their injury and should have been killed. You know what the correct answer was for, does this behavior violate Twitch's community guidelines? Yes, because Twitch does not allow users to wish harm or death on others. Well, that's crazy.
I'm not trying to brag here, but because Twitch hold you, the audience, accountable, so the streamer's punished, but also the streamer, if they say something on alternative platforms, we punish if it's anything negative that breaches their terms of service, the answer was not a surprise. Simultaneously, because of what we know with Frogan getting a 1-day suspension, it is a surprise. She wished them PTSD, and then she starts saying words like, based? Is that based? In that moment, she was aura maxing everyone. Real moment situation type deal. Now, as far as the fat comment goes, couldn't care less. I don't care if Frogan is fat, thin. I don't care if they're ugly or attractive. I don't care about their faith. I care about what they say, because that is their action. They don't do anything beyond speaking. So what they say is what matters the most. Everything else is pointless. Do I think that that should be worthy of a ban or suspension? No, I do not. I don't think anyone should be, but I'm not surprised there are some that believe Frogan reported Tectone. I had thought that Frogan celebrated this to an extent, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter, does it?
What Tectone did was socially acceptable. Frogan is a detestable, disgusting person. I think everybody knows this. Not by her appearance, but by the content of her character. I find this to be very surprising because I don't even think that's really her either. I think the fact is that, you know, she's probably a nice person, but she just gets on the internet and turns into an awful person. I think that's the truth. I met Frogan in real life, and I got along just fine with her. There were no problems. It was a nice, you know, like, it was friendly. Like, there's nothing wrong. And so, like, I don't want to say this in a way that, like, you know, is like, wrong. But, like, you can't go and say that you hope people, you know, soldiers get PTSD and shit like this. You can't go and say this and be like, oh, wow, I'm surprised people don't like me.
I thought I'd insert that clip because I saw it in my timeline and for some reason bookmarked it. It seemed appropriate because I think many things should be socially acceptable again. And if you notice the red bar on the screen, there's a word I blocked because it would get me done for community violations. Starting with N. And no, I'm not going down that discussion. That's a completely different subject matter with the blonde lady and the GoFundMe. Yes, I'm aware of it. I will stand by what I've said. I do not believe Tectone deserved to be suspended, but based on Twitch's terms of service, yes. Do I think there's an inconsistency? 100%. Very much so. It is well known. So we skip over from this, and we're going to go to a subject concerning an individual called AB, who I've been reliably informed on Twitter works for H3H3. The reason for this is because, first of all, we have something from Agravat, who had retweeted Yeet, who had tweeted a video declaring they'd lost all respect for AB, and we'll get to that in a second. Agravat had tweeted out, "Totally not emotionally manipulative, don't take anything said by people with the emotional intelligence of a grade schooler seriously," because she had sent a message to AB saying, "I wanted to reach out privately because responding publicly and adding to the dog pile doesn't feel right. I understand that people often overlook how tough the job market is, and I get that working for Ethan puts you in a complicated position. That said, I think what pushed people over the edge was the clip of you baiting pro-Palestinian people and blocking. The criticism you're receiving is largely because people believe you're better than that and don't subscribe to Ethan's views. I know you've been vocal about Palestine, but I think it's important to explicitly clarify that you don't share his beliefs and that you stand on your own. Ethan is not worth the BS you have to deal with working for him. Honestly, there have been times where I felt anger but after some reflection, I wanted to approach you directly. I'm saying this as someone who was personally impacted by Ethan, and as a cousin, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I'm assuming the cousin thing is faith-based, but I don't really care, to be honest. Everyone's a cousin if you're going to go that far. But this looks a bit strange as a message. It looks a bit strange, but I understand this purity test being applied. Not sharing beliefs with those you work for is fine, by the way. Saying that, the job market is tough right now. This feels like it's bordering the area of gaslighting. It really does feel like it. It feels like it. So the video clip you're about to see is a minute long, and I'll respond to parts of that. Is Frogan saying that she has now lost all respect for AB.
You gaslit yourself into thinking you're the victim. I can't tell you. And I have lost absolutely no respect. I've lost all respect I had for him, to be quite honest.
If AB responds back by saying that would be the icing on the cake. You see, we creators, those who work in life generally, we make friends, we lose friends. We lose respect for each other, gain respect for each other. It is a fact, immutable fact of life. You announcing it feels like a bit of a virtue signal. Look guys, I've passed the test. I've lost respect for them. Why? Because they still work for, which means they're a bad person. You're welcome.
I have lost absolutely all respect for him. Especially after he said that, he really can't say whether or not the tier list was anti-Semitic or not. That's like the ultimate go f*** yourself.
Yeah, Frogan, that tier list you did, that quaint tier list, was horrible. Every tier list you've ever done in your career has solely been done to upset someone. Because controversy breeds relevancy, right? If you're a very far left, progressive left, tolerant left type moment, situation, deal, you'll often find the only way you're going to get any traction is by baiting people with rage. I like that you watch these people enough to say, people you disagree with, which is fine by the way, you should, because then it helps you strengthen your position or perhaps become more empathetic towards differing opinions. The latter does not apply with someone who's intellectually stunted though, like yourself. But at the same time, to purity test those that are your cousin, as you put it in your message, seems a bit shallow, because you think that everyone's supposed to be some kind of collective. A lot of your views, by the way, wouldn't resonate in very key areas on this planet where you believe your beliefs matter the most. I promise you that.
You're just seeing him clearly now? No, I saw him clearly before, but I didn't want to add to the dog pile. You know what I mean? Because he was somebody I considered a friend of mine. And I saw everybody ripping him apart, and I tried reaching out to him in private, and he lied about it.
Does anyone miss the good old days where people could just agree to disagree? Where people could be tolerant of each other's differing perspectives? Oh wait, that's how most people are. So actually we don't have to miss it. The majority of us just agree to disagree. Many times over the years I've mentioned that my closest friend and I, we've been friends for close to 18 years now. We disagreed on Brexit, and we don't vote the same way in elections, or we hadn't when we were students anyway. Yet we're still good friends, because we just pour a glass of whiskey and stop caring. We're playing video games, we're enjoying each other's company. That's what friends do, right? We don't have to bicker, argue, we just disagree. Alright, cool. As we've gotten older, I think our views are virtually the same now. I think they are, because apathy really does help. When you're so invested in this, you age so fast. It's like a poison to your life expectancy, I find. So if you take it too seriously, you get too invested in too many arguments. The grey hairs come through, not what we've seen with you, of course, and not that I wish them on you either. Not my place to judge, and I don't really care, but you find that people just age, and it causes unnecessary stress. I understand the passion around the subject matter, I do, but accomplishing anything, you most certainly will not. Beyond making money. And that's not a bad thing if you're donating it, or doing fundraisers perhaps, or using it to get by, because of course everyone needs to have something to live on. Taxation is, as we all know, theft. Anyway, with these two little subjects, Tectone and AB, I actually want to know what everyone thinks. Please do let me know in the comments down below. I hope you'll have a marvellous day today, and thank you all so much for listening.